Hare Krishna. This is part 2 of the story of the Syamantaka jewel. If you haven't already seen part 1, the link will be up here. Part 2 is dealing with the killing of King Satyajit and Shatadhanva. It starts off with a news that the Pandavas and their mother Kunti Maharani was killed in a fire. This news reaches Krishna and Balram, and hence they set for Hastinapura to console and sympathize their relatives. Krishna and Balram knew that Pandavas would not have been killed in a fire. Still, they continued to sympathize their relatives. First, they went to Bhishmadeva. They also went to Vidura, Gandhari and Drona. Since Krishna and Balram were not in Dwarka, there were people who planned a conspiracy to get the Syamantaka jewel. As mentioned in the last video, King Satyajit had offered the jewel to Krishna with his daughter Satyabhama, but Krishna did not accept it as he knew the mentality of King Satyajit and he asked him to keep it. The chief conspirator was Shatadhanva. There were many along with Shatadhanva who wanted to marry Satyabhama, and hence to take revenge, as Satyabhama was offered to Krishna, they planned a conspiracy to take the jewel and kill King Satyajit. Akrura and Kritavarma also joined the conspiracy. Although they were great devotees of the Lord, they joined the conspiracy with Shatadhanva. The question is generally raised, why did such great devotees like Akrura and Kritavarma join the conspiracy? The answer is given by great acharyas like Jiva Goswami and other acharyas that Akrura was cursed by the inhabitants of Vrindavan who took Krishna away from them. And Kritavarma, being a very intimate friend of Kamsa and spending a lot of time with him, also happened to be trapped in the reaction of the sinful actions. So now, being incited and inspired by all the other members of the conspiracy, Shatadhanva went one night and killed King Satyajit while he was sleeping. Satyabhama was in a state of shock. She cried out for her father. She decided to store the body and preserve the body of her father, King Satyajit, in a tank of oil to show Krishna how mercilessly was he killed, and Krishna would take her revenge. And so she immediately set off for Hastinapura to tell Krishna, to inform Krishna what had happened. When Krishna realized this news of the killing of King Satyajit, he lamented like an ordinary man. Although Krishna had nothing to do with action and reaction, he was playing a part of a human being and expressed full sympathy for the loss of Satyabhama. Then Krishna, Balram and Satyabhama immediately set off for Dwarka. Shatadhanva knew that Krishna was coming to kill him, and first he went to take shelter under Kritavarma. Kritavarma said, "I will never be able to offend Krishna and Balram. They are not ordinary persons, they are the supreme personality of Godhead. Who can be saved from death if he has offended Krishna and Balram?" When Kritavarma refused to help, he went to Akrura. Akrura said that Krishna and Balram, if anyone knows their strength, no one will dare to offend them or fight with them. He cited the example of Krishna holding the Govardhan Parvat on his little finger for 7 days, just like a little child would hold an umbrella. Hence, he also refused to give shelter to Shatadhanva. When even Akrura refused to help him and give him shelter, he set off on a horse with great speed who could run about 400 miles at a stretch. When Krishna and Balram were informed about the flight of Shatadhanva, they immediately mounted their chariot, marked with the flag of Garuda, and they followed immediately. Eventually, the horse of Shatadhanva died near a garden house in Mithila. Unable to take help of the horse, he started running on his feet. To be fair, Krishna and Balram also started running on their feet behind him. While both Shatadhanva and Krishna were running on foot, Krishna removed his Sudarshan Chakra and cut off the head of Shatadhanva. Then he went to check if there was the jewel with Shatadhanva, and he did not find anything. Hence, Sri Balaram suggested that any of his men or the people who participated in the conspiracy could have the jewel. Sri Balaram said that he would like to stay in Mithila for a few days, as the king of Mithila was an intimate friend of his. Hence, Krishna returned back to Dwarka while Balaram stayed in Mithila. At this time, Sri Balarama stayed as an honored guest at Mithila for several years. During this time, Duryodhana came to Mithila to learn the art of fighting with a club from Sri Balaram. When Krishna returned to Dwarka, he informed his wife the killing of Shatadhanva, which pleased her. After that, they performed all the necessary rituals and the cremation of the body of King Satyajit. When Akrura and Kritavarma were informed about the killing of Shatadhanva, they immediately flew away from Dwarka. And this marked some disturbance in Dwarka. Some said it was because of the absence of auspicious people like Akrura, while some said because it was the absence of the Syamantaka money. When Krishna heard this, he decided to summon Akrura, who was actually his uncle. When Akrura reached Dwarka, Krishna welcomed him in a very warm way. Aham Atma Gudakesha Sarva Bhutashaya Stitaha Aham Adishcha Madhyam Cha Bhutadnam Anta Eva Cha. In this verse, Shri Krishna says that, O Arjun, I am seated in the heart of all the living entities. I am the beginning, middle, and the end of every living entity. And hence, Krishna, being the super soul, he knew what was going on exactly in Akrura's mind. And hence, he told to Akrura, my dear uncle, it is known to me that the Syamantaka jewel was left with you by Shatadhanva. Presently, there is no direct claimant of the jewel, as King Satyajit does not have any male issue. But the grandson of King Satyajit, or the son of Satyabhama and Krishna, would be the real claimant when he was born. Krishna also said that he knows that Akrura had been distributing gold in huge quantities for sacrificial performances. And this proved as a positive evidence that he had the Syamantaka jewel. As we all know that the Syamantaka jewel produces about 180 pounds of gold every single day. When Sri Krishna explained in friendly terms and in sweet language that he knew that Akrura had the jewel, and then when Akrura understood that nothing can be concealed from Sri Krishna, he brought the jewel, shining like a sun, and presented it before Krishna. Krishna picked it up and showed it to all his relatives, and then gave it back to Akrura, which remained as an evidence that Akrura was the holder of the jewel for the city of Dwarka. The story of the Syamantaka jewel is very significant. In the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, it is stated that anyone who simply hears, describes, or remembers the story of the Syamantaka jewel will be freed from all kinds of defamation and will be freed from the reaction of all impious activities, and thus attain the highest perfection of peace. With this, we come to an end to the story of the Syamantaka jewel. Please make sure to subscribe for more such videos. If you're watching this on Instagram, make sure to follow me. Thank you. Hare Krishna.